Hi guys, welcome back to Libation and Vibration. Today we have Taylor Lyons with us, owner of Kelta Wellness Center in Beacon, New York, and we're just gonna pick her brain a little bit. So Taylor, welcome to the show. How are you
Thank
feeling
you.
today?
Good.
Good. What is your libation of choice? We're gonna start off with that question. What are we
Right,
drinking today?
right now I have.
Oh, and of course that happens to me. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. Paper towel right there.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
What am I drinking right now? I am
Mhm.
drinking a peppermint tea.
Ooh.
I'm pretty basic in my drink choices. I was actually talking this morning with my partner about how I grew up. Actually, this is crazy. This building used to be a dentist office.
Right.
Yeah, and it's my aunt's building, and she was the dentist in here. So I grew up. Yeah, I grew up with a dentist
Wow.
in the family. So I was saying to him, I love water. It's different for me because I didn't grow up drinking juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually water, but right now peppermint tea.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Peppermint tea is good. It soothes the soul.
Yeah.
And what did you give me? This is raspberry.
Acai.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it smells really sweet, but like really good. Okay. So Taylor, who is Taylor? Who is Taylor Lyons?
Who am I? I am an entrepreneur. I am a former educator and a fitness instructor. So I opened Kelta at this point 5 months ago.
Right.
And I actually have a full-time job as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Doing what?
I work in educational technology.
Oh.
Yeah. So I work as a customer success manager, which is essentially a post-sale account management.
Okay.
And I have been with the company that I work at for almost 3 years. And prior to that was special education teacher and administrator. And I had a calling to open the business because I grew up in an environment of women who were always taking care of themselves and finding the next and best way. And my mom actually took me to float for the first time, and then the dream of the business kind of grew from there.
Wow.
But I am also, who am I? I am also a sister. I have a brother who's my best friend. I am an aunt. I have a 17-year-old niece who she's a part of the name of Kelta.
Oh.
And I am a soon-to-be mom.
Yes.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep. And I would like to think I'm a good friend and a good cousin and niece and all of those other things too.
You are. You are. Now, you said your niece's name is in your business. Where did that come from?
So the name Kelta actually is a combination of my mom's name, my name, and my niece. So my mom's name is Kathleen.
Okay.
My name's Taylor, and my niece's name is Ella. And we were trying to find a unique name for the business that didn't necessarily have nothing else was named it. My brother brought it up to me. He was talking, he read some article and we were talking about it, and he said that think of Amazon. Amazon has nothing, the word Amazon has nothing to do with what Amazon does, but it just has this meaning behind it.
Right.
So rather than having some name that's float oasis, it's very kind of pigeonholes you too as well, whereas the name Kelta, it sounds like it means something, which it does mean something, but it's easy to pronounce, and it has meaning behind it.
Rolls off the tongue, but also has something that you feel inspired by.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, what is your mission behind Kelta? What is your mission? What is your vision for it?
So my mission behind the business is to provide a space with unique experiences that nowhere else has. With that being said, we are one of the only float places in a 25-mile radius. I was born and raised in Beacon, and Beacon has evolved tremendously.
Very.
My family's from here as well, so both my parents grew up here, and it's changed in the sense of like there's more open-mindedness into these kind of spiritual or self-care practices.
Right.
And I think just the world in general has been more into that. So I want to provide a space where you can do these things, but you don't have to drive a far distance. We also have a meditation bed that
As God said.
that no one around here has.
No one.
Yeah.
That experience alone was just like, what am I? First of all, I thought I was on a plane. But then it's like vibrating all to the music. That I've never felt so relaxed in my life.
And it's a quick experience.
Yes.
It's not something that you're like taking a tremendous amount of time. And I also wanted to provide a space where the price of these experiences were obtainable. I work in technology. We all live in New York. We know that you can be making money, but
not making enough.
So I didn't want it to be in a place where you came in and you were like, oh, I can only do this like once in a while,
Right.
or I can only, it feels like way too out of my reach. Like I wanted it to be a place where people could come in and be like, oh, that was great. I can come back. Like,
My mom is prime example.
yeah.
She is obsessed with that bed. She can't stop talking about it. She's like, I can't wait to go back. I'm like, did you schedule an appointment? Yes, I did. I'm like, really? Like, I think that's the best part of this is that like, it's very affordable and it doesn't make you feel like you're breaking the bank just to either one, spend time with yourself, but also treat yourself and indulge in what your body potentially needs.
Yeah. And like you look to go to a spa, like I love spas, like literally the reason behind this place and the aesthetic of it and the look and all of those things is because I've been to a million spas, but like it's an investment.
Yes.
And I'm not saying like, oh, it's so expensive, you can't do it, but like you really have to think about it before you go. Whereas here you can come and you can experience something like the meditation bed and it's 22 minutes and you feel like a whole different person afterwards. So I wanted to also be like that, like, oh, I can come in during the day and go in the sauna for 30 minutes, feel detoxified when I come out and like continue on with my day.
Yes.
I am fast paced. So like that for me is great. Whereas floating is a longer experience, but it's also like, it's still an hour long.
Yeah.
Like you could be in and out of here in less than 2 hours and have like floated onto this cloud. And so that was important for me. Another aspect of just like thinking like, okay, I want to open a business, but I want it to be a space where I'm not relying on human capital. So I know from like friends and family who own businesses, like humans are pretty unreliable.
Speak on it.
In the sense of like having a large group of people working for you at one time, right?
Right.
So like, say we decide, oh, we're going to have a bunch of massage therapists, or we're going to have a facialist, or we're going to have this or that. And then relying on them to show up for customers all the time sometimes can lead you in the wrong direction.
Right.
So my whole idea was behind wellness technology. And the machines, they're not as reliable either.
It's the machines at the end of the day.
Yeah. So that was like my idea behind all of it, is that at a certain level, this business may be able to run itself. Yeah, we have someone working at the front desk. We have some other employees who work at night at the same time, like helping to restock, clean, all of those things. But we're not always concerned about like me giving the service. And I got that from being a fitness instructor. Like you have to go up and perform every single time. And it's hard. Like I get it. So like as a massage therapist, it's hard, or a facialist, it's hard. You're doing the work all the time. Sometimes you get tired. Sometimes you get sick.
And having to not just only deal with people, but it's also the whole point of things in life happen.
Oh yeah.
Your kids get sick or you get sick, family death. Like there's a whole bunch of things that happen in one's life that you also have to take that into accountability too when you start to work with other people.
Yeah. And so that was my big idea when opening, because a lot of people will request like, oh, you should get a massage therapist, or you should get this or that. And I'm like, I will get one when we're ready, or when someone wants to rent the space. So that's what part of my business as well is, that we have open spaces for rentals.
I did not know that. I did not know.
So this room is actually gets rented pretty frequently by one-on-one yoga, Reiki, personal sound baths, all of those things. And I wanted to have a space where people could come in and they could provide their service, and we just provide the space for them.
Nice. That's nice. And that's, in a sense, still giving back to your community, but also still installing wellness in your center.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And it gives flexibility for practitioners as well.
It's hard renting space and then hoping that people come in and being an instructor and wanting that consistency, knowing that people in general aren't consistent, and makes it harder. So having people like you and allowing other people to rent out a smaller space just to do what makes them happy, it changes the game a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I enjoy that. I think that's nice. Now, so let's share your personal journey. Like, what made you become an entrepreneur? I know you said you have all these other hands dipped in everything else, like educational technology, but like, what made you say like, this is part of one of the hands that I want to be dipped in?
So I don't even know how long it is at this point, probably almost 3 years ago. I floated for the first time. I floated at Rise Above in Mount Kisco, and my mom brought me there. And I didn't when you float, your first float is very different than your third or your fourth or your fifth.
Right.
And when you float, you can get into a meditative state, and everyone hears about that. They hear about this hallucinogenic meditative state that people get into when they're floating, and they get into the float tank for the first time, and it's not always the experience, because it's a different experience.
It's your first
you're
time.
Deprived of your senses. So we went and we floated, and I had a good experience, but even though I am a movement instructor and a certified yoga teacher, I am not a meditator.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. I'm not going to pretend. And I went into the float tank, and actually I was in an open space. So they have open pools as well.
Okay.
And I was in there, and it was great. It was an interesting experience. It's the first time you're doing something. And afterwards, I was like, oh, my body feels really soft and tingly on the inside. This is so interesting, even though I wasn't in the meditative state that everyone talks about.
Right.
And I went to lunch with my mom afterwards, and I was saying to her, I was like, where is there a place that's closer to Beacon? And she named a few places, but they're all far.
Right.
So like I said, my fast-paced type A personality is okay, well, that's a half of a day if I live in Beacon in order to go and float.
Yep, to travel, to get there, to enjoy the space, enjoy the time, also relax, and then have to turn around and do it again.
Yeah, so I had just started a brand new job working remote, and I looked into how much float tanks cost. I looked into spaces and what the rental scenario is in the area, because in Beacon it's a really sought after neighborhood.
Yes.
So I just looked into all of these things and kind of just decided just got a remote job. I want to travel. I don't want to be tied down to a specific place.
Right.
And so I kind of not forgot about it. It was always in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to, I took a 2-month trip to Costa Rica.
Ooh.
Yeah. And before I was leaving, my aunt who owns this building, her tenant decided that they weren't going to renew their lease. And she had said, I just heard her one morning like say, "Oh, I'm looking for a new renter, if anyone knows anyone." And that was right before I was going on this 2 month, like, hopefully awakening trip to Costa Rica.
This hiatus.
Yeah. And I was like, so said something to my mom, and she said, "Oh, don't think about it. Like, if you, and then at the end of your trip, if you want to do it, like, then look into it." So I remember I was on the beach in Costa Rica at the end of my trip, and my job is great. It provides me with the ability to own this business, pays the bills,
right,
all the fun stuff. And I called my aunt up, and she was with another one of my aunts. Just a little sidebar here. My mom is one of 11.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So she has 7 sisters. So they're all very close. They like are with each other all the time.
Oh,
everyone lives
nice.
really close. Yeah. So I said, "I think I found a tenant for you." And she was like, "Who?" She was so excited. And I was like, "Me." And she was like, "What?" And then she was like excited about the opportunity. So literally, I think like 2 days after I came back, we came and saw the space. I mean, granted, I grew up in this building.
But it's different
Yeah.
when you're, like, you know, want to
Yeah.
situate certain things and you have different visions for certain things.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it fits you.
And this building was literally like, it's a dentist office. It was roomed out. It was like, that was a big part of like when I first looked at it, is that the opening cost of building, if you have a blank space, is really expensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Putting back walls, putting up partitions, putting up doors, putting up framing, all of that. Yeah.
So it was the perfect opportunity to have this space in here. And then it went from there. But from the time that we spoke about, we came in and looked at the place, we were supposed to start construction much earlier, but just because of some stuff that happened, construction started much later. It was a full year. So it was like a 3-year process of like from my first float into like us sitting here today.
Wow.
Once it started though, like once we started construction, we did it in 3 months. Yeah. And this place used to be like this, I think this room was like bright green. Yeah, like neon green, neon blue, like all of these very bright colors into like this oasis now that's like neutrals and browns and greens and like calming area. Right. So, and all of that, like I couldn't have done any part of this without the support of my family and friends.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. What does your support system look like? Like, how did they help you get through this?
It's huge. So we actually did all of the work just leading up into opening this, other than electrical and plumbing, with the support of my family.
Wow.
Yeah. So paint, and my friends like painted the entire place, and the flooring. We didn't do the flooring. Like painted the place. Like you see behind us, these cabinets, these like knobs on them, like those were like put on by family members. Like this entire thing was done with that support. We also had the support of an interior designer, which at first I was like, I don't need an interior designer. I can do this. But it was one of the greatest aspects of it, because she kind of also like kept me in line, like, okay, we need to go to the store and go shopping. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, but I need to paint this wall, like that kind of stuff. So that was a great experience. And then even like from there, like my dad and my uncle were literally here like every day, and even on Sundays, and they like enjoyed it. They would like give me a hard time, but like at the end of the day, they loved it. And then even from there, like from opening, I have a big staff. I have a staff of 9, I want to say right now. And they are amazing. But the 2 that I like solely rely on, who are my managers who work for me, my mom and my aunt. And they are amazing and like helpful, but they are polar opposites. like my aunt wants to, she's actually in charge of all of the maintenance of the equipment.
Okay.
And she's like, go hard, get it done. And then my mom is like,
That's me.
calm, and she's like, I don't know if we should fix that ourselves. Like maybe we should call someone. She's like, she's willing to do it, but like my aunt like wants to get down and dirty and like all of that. So the amazing support of them has been there. And then I do have to say, like, since opening the business, I'm always like running around, very fast paced. Even when before I opened the business, like I said, I was a fitness instructor. I taught like 3 to 5 days a week outside of work, my like 9 to 5 work. And so when I started this, I kind of pulled back there. But my boyfriend and partner, Federico, he has been the biggest support at home. And like, that's what I like needed in the moment of like, oh my God, we don't have any food, or the laundry needs to be done, or like something like that. Like he takes care of everything at home.
Nice.
And while I just like work, who knows, some
Endlessly.
12 to 14 hour days sometimes. And he's like, you're pregnant, you need to stop.
Right.
And I'm like, yes, I will.
Eventually.
Yeah. So and it's something that like is very unique, because a lot of entrepreneurs, like, they don't have the support system. And like, if something breaks, they have to either figure it out themselves or call someone. And I have the ability, like, call someone and pay them. I have so much support that I could call someone who like knows plumbing or knows how to fix something, to be able to like just help me. I remember we had our grand opening party, and I was like at the end, and everyone was like, oh, how can I help? How can I help? And literally I look over, and like 4 of my, not even, probably like 6 of my family members are just taking the tent down, and it was down in like 2 seconds. I didn't even ask them. And like, they just like immediately done. Everything's done. And I'm like, I guess we don't need any help because everything's done. So it's very unique, and I'm very blessed. And I know a lot of other entrepreneurs like do not have this. Like I have, like, my partner, he owns a business, and he was just like going hard for himself for many, many years before he had staff. Like, I have a friend who owns a cafe in Beacon, and like her family lives in Florida. So it's like,
she's by herself.
Yeah, she's by herself, or she has to have her staff do it. Whereas me, I have like a million people to call.
And that's good. So it goes back to what I said. You are a good person, because if you weren't, then the support system wouldn't help you the way they do. Yeah.
And it took me a long time to learn to ask for help.
Girl.
You know, as a woman, I'm like,
I was just about to say that. As a woman, it is not easy for us to sit here and say, I need help, I need help, I need help. Because in a society, we're taught like, you got to figure it out. You have to figure it out, because ain't nobody gonna really want to help you, or they're gonna complain while they help you. Who wants to listen to that while you're getting help? No one.
It took me 32 years to learn how to ask someone for help. And it's just like, okay, why would I ask for help? Because I know how to do it, and I can do it best.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, well, I've learned this as being an entrepreneur, like, being done sometimes is better than it being perfect.
Yes. Now, this is going to be a question off the support system, but did you notice that your change of asking for help came with your helping partner? Because I noticed that for myself. Like, my boyfriend is like godsend, like just being an entrepreneur for so long and trying to figure it out. And then I had somebody that was like, you can do this. I know you can do it on your own, but I'm going to just take a couple things off your plate. Did you notice that for yourself?
Yeah, definitely in that sense. And then it was also like, I had to kind of express to myself, but also out loud to him, like, these things being done, and like being able to come home to a space where I'm like, can be calm, and all of these things are super important.
Yes.
And like, once he knew, like, oh, I understand what I'm providing when I'm providing this help for her, like, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, I have to travel for work sometimes. And my most recent trip, which was my last trip, hopefully being pregnant, was it was literally like I've been taking 24-hour trips, but like we're talking on planes too, like 24 to 36-hour trips.
What?
Yeah. So I remember calling him. I was driving home from the airport and I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm cleaning up the house because I know that like when you come home after you go somewhere, you like when it's like clean and you don't have to clean up. And I was
like him already.
and I was like, oh, yes, thank you.
I
didn't even think of that, but like this sounds great.
That wasn't my mind when I was going home, but great. Thank you. I know I won't have to wash dishes, clean up, and do all this other stuff when I get home. That is a great partner.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great partner. Okay, so like for being an entrepreneur, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that would be in your standpoint, in your situation? Like what piece of advice, if you didn't have the support system that you have, but like what piece of advice would you have loved to hear when you knew you were going into this?
I have like two. Number one was like, it is super scary. Like very, very scary.
Cheers to that.
It's very going scary. There's going to be moments where you're doubting, second guessing. You think you're not doing a good job.
Right, like you're not doing enough.
Yeah. But take the leap and like everyone from the outside who's looking in is like admiring you so much, like so much. Like every day, like I like have self-doubts of like, am I doing this right? What's happening here? Like, how's it going? And then I like talk to someone and they're like, you are doing amazing. And I'm like, oh God, okay. Yeah. That would be my first one. My second piece of advice, which is like very business oriented, is like start early with automations and marketing. Because if you want your business to run smoothly, the automation of it and the technology that's out there to create a system that like automatically sends you an email about what you should expect before you go into a float tank, like is key. Like you don't need to like have someone clicking a button every time someone books to send them an email. Right. Like there's these kind of things that happen that will make your life so much more simple. And then even with marketing, like I'm not saying social media because social media is a different beast.
That's not a market.
But like email marketing and like marketing with collaborating with like local businesses or things like that, like that I would say start early, even before you think you're ready. Like get all of those things in a row and your life will be like more seamless. I work with a marketing coach. Her name is Alexa, and I started working with her before we were open. And one of the things before I even met with her was that I had like a discovery call, and she asked a question like, what is the goal for your business in the next year? And the goal for my business was for it to be completely automated. And I think Alexa and I worked together for over maybe a year or so, maybe less, honestly. And like, I just took a break because of pregnancy and everything. But I think we achieved it. Like the marketing is top notch.
It is.
It's seamless. It's smooth. It's fun for me. Like who would have thought like email marketing is fun?
Email marketing is still a thing. Like a lot of people think, social media had people thinking that it goes out the window. It doesn't. Every time you email somebody, everybody's like, oh, people just throw it in the trash. If they do, they do. If they don't, that one click open means something. It means that you did something right to draw their attention, right? So it's like, you got to keep doing that. You have to keep doing that, because then they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I forgot I got a cult of membership. Let me go back and it works. It still works to this day.
Yeah. And I actually had an example of it earlier this week. So on Monday, we had like a few like open floats that weren't booked. And I was like, let me just post on Instagram about like, I'm going to give 40% off. Because you know what? I think people should experience it. And we have open space for it. So I was just like, today only, you have to book today. You have to come today. 40% off. I posted on Instagram. maybe I got like one person off of Instagram to book. And then like a few hours later, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send out an email. Every single one was booked. So it's not like people are relying on social media, but it's not always the best.
Yeah.
So it's just like depending on what you're looking for. But like for me, I love the email marketing. The social media can go somewhere else. Even though I do it, it's just not my favorite.
Well, the thing is like, so this is what I'm learning, especially in the entrepreneur business. Social media is to keep people engaged, right? The marketing is to get the business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you want to keep people engaged. You want to let them know what's coming up next, what they can expect, any events that you have coming up, whatever. But the emails, that's when you give real information. Hey, this is what we have going on. This is who's going to be teaching in class at what time, what to expect, what to bring, all this stuff. When you give more information in the email, they're more likely to book. If you just give bare minimum, people are going to engage. Oh, I like that. Okay, scroll. Engagement, business. Two different things. That's what I'm learning. It's like you don't expect social media to run your business.
No.
Because it's not. Even though, don't get me wrong, you'll have people, you'll get your lead generations from there. Mm-hmm. You'll have people who are interested, like myself when I came across yours and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. But that gets the person. But to keep the person.
Yeah, you need the deeper dive.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And you need like the automation of less clicks to get them to be on your email list or to sign up for something.
Right.
Because our society has turned into like need immediate gratification or satisfaction.
Yeah.
So if you have to click like more than 3 times, you're going to lose someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Attention spans are like goldfishes nowadays. Okay, what is the best part of your business? What is the best part of like your business, your journey? What would you say it is? Your best part or the favorite part? One or the other.
I would love to say that it's like that I get to use all of these experiences, but I literally don't use any of them in the first 5 months. I used the compression boots yesterday and the meditation bed, which is like very rare for me.
Right.
I think the best part is seeing the excitement and the joy on everyone. And that's like customers, and employees. So like I said, I manage a team of like 9 and, even just like collaborating with them or like celebrating with them, is really exciting. And then the joy on the customer's face, like, even if they try something and they're like, whoa, I don't know if that was for me, I'm going to need to try it again. Like, they're so open and willing to try these things because it is a community that spans like so many different aspects. It's not just like your spiritual woo-woo people who want to come float in the float tank, because we also, one of our most popular services is our sweat and plunge, which is our sauna into our cold plunge, which is a very athletic thing.
And I'm going to be signing up for that.
And so there's so many different aspects of humans who walk into here. Actually, I was looking at our average age range yesterday. And like, I think our top age is like 29, but like, we're talking like we have customers who are like from like 18, 19 to like, we had a woman yesterday who floated and I spoke with her this morning. She was 70 years old.
Wow.
So it's like, there's so many different aspects of people who are coming into this space, which is like really refreshing, but like seeing their like interaction with our services. Like, one of my brother's best friends came in and he had texted me afterwards, but then I saw him a few days later and he told me he came in because his back hurt and his wife is a little more woo-woo than him. And he went in the sauna and the cold plunge, and then I saw him and he was like, my back doesn't hurt. He was like, you literally cured my back pain. And my brother was like, he's a firm believer now. So it's that aspect of like people coming in and being like, oh my God, this stuff actually works.
It's the impact.
Yeah.
And you know that, like I know that being a fitness instructor, that impact that you have on people to make them feel like they are safe with you, but to continue coming back, that's such a great feeling. It's so fulfilling to know that like somebody's just like, yeah, now I trust you with my body. I trust you with my mind. I trust you with my wellness journey. And then you're going, okay, great. And then but like you walk away and it's like a little like a little celebration.
I needed
going
that
on
today.
There.
Yeah. One of our in our receipt email, like there's a line like that says like, thank you so much for buying from us. We actually did a little happy dance. Like because that's exactly how it feels, like, right? Yeah. I'm doing the right thing.
Right, exactly. It's the impact. And that's why, once again, this podcast is very big to me, because my goal is not to just put information out there, is to make an impact on other women who are trying to find their life's purpose. Whether if it's being a fitness instructor or owning a wellness center, it's about what do you want to fulfill in your life and how can you get there, and watch these women's stories about what they've gone through, but how it has not stopped them from being successful. And success doesn't always mean money.
Yeah.
It means how you feel. Okay. I got 2 questions for you.
All right.
Okay. So I know you have affirmation cards in the locker. They're so cute. Now my question to you is, what affirmations do you tell yourself?
Well, I like to curse a lot. So I think like one that I would say like that kind of like gets me through this is like, you fucking got this. Like,
you fucking got this.
Yeah. And then one that not necessarily an affirmation, but something that like at the beginning of a yoga class or at the beginning of any like sort of spiritual class, when they tell you to like set your intention, my intention is always presence, which is really difficult. Being an entrepreneur, having a full-time job, creating human life inside of you, like your head is always spinning and like it's really hard to stay
in that moment.
Present. Yeah. And like present in the sense of like, okay, I'm not going to judge myself because of like a move I was able to do a few days ago, or like, I'm just going to be present in my state and in my space. So
that was my reminder. I needed to hear that. That was my reminder, because it's true. Sometimes we forget that like we expect progress to be linear, right? Forgetting that even though it's gone like this doesn't mean that you've stopped at all. You've been consistent, which the consistent is effort, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Right? But also it's also a reminder of like, you have to be okay with where you are.
Yeah.
Because if you're not okay with where you are, then your mind is going to constantly wander, where should I be? Where should I be? Where should I be? It's like, no, be who you are right here in this moment and be prepared for the change when it comes, but just accept that.
Yeah.
That's all. I think that's hard, especially back to the social media thing. It's very hard for people to accept who they are in this day and age, because they're always constantly looking at what's the next best thing.
Yeah.
So, last question of the day. You know, the podcast is called Libation and Vibration. So my question to you is, what song is in your current vibration?
I'm like, I love music, and I love, like, I can sing songs. My niece tells me I make up words, but sometimes she's like, your lyrics are better.
I like that style.
I would say, I don't know the artist's name.
That's okay. Sing a part of it.
My brother just sent it to me the other day, so I'm going to let that one go. I think that one that that comes to mind immediately is this song called Sunny, and I don't know who sings it either. And it's talks about like, it's a male singer. It's a very old song, and he talks about how when he met like whomever this person that he's singing about, how his life was dark and gray before, and then it changed when they came in. And it's a song that my boyfriend sings to me all the time, and he calls me Sunny. So that's just like the one that I like immediately think of. But as it goes for music in general, being a former spin instructor and trampoline instructor, anything with a super hard downbeat, like is for
like,
me.
You're feeling it. We're feeling it today.
Yeah, we're going hard.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, Taylor, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Guys, I hope you enjoyed all the insight that Taylor gave to us, but also understanding that wellness is everything and should be every day. Mm-hmm. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
And we will see you on the next episode. Have a good one, guys.